I want to start by asking you about the gap in education. What part does being in school, absenteeism, and summer break play in that gap?
What we know now is that these differences among children from more resourced and under-resourced neighborhoods starts to emerge very early. In the first 3-4 years of life, you start to see these differences in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and also in early language. They're not hyper pronounced, but they're really starting to appear. And they can put a child at a tremendous disadvantage when they enter into formal schooling. Because a lot of these early skills, like early language, early spatial skills, early emotion regulation, it begins to translate into how well you do in the readiness tests that you start with in kindergarten and formal school. So the gap is already pronounced. It tends, however, to get even wider. Now you ask about summer vacations. Well, if you have a summertime that is filled with camp and museums and books and activities that are cognitively stimulating, and you have the resources in order to enhance these skills, well, you often can maintain what you've learned in school or what you've learned in preschool. But what tends to happen for, again, those children who come from more under-resourced environments, they don't have these opportunities. And as a result, we get something that's called summer slide. And summer slide, or summer slump, as it's sometimes been called, is pronounced. It can be about 20% of what you learn in reading and 30% of what you learn in math can sometimes just vanish.
Why is that for students who are coming from these disadvantaged communities?
If you are coming from a non-disadvantaged environment, you get all the perks. And the perks are you go to museums, you have a lot of books in your house, you're kind of constantly stimulated. You might go to camp, you might go on summer vacations. But for those children who don't have those advantages, summer's really downtime, and downtime is downtime. And while it's wonderful to let off the steam of school, having not much to replace it that's stimulating can actually create that summer slump.
Because there's no precedent, what can we anticipate that we're going to see come fall?
On Monday, teachers were home, were at school, and on Tuesday, everyone was teaching online. Boom! As if all of us had been trained to teach online, and we knew all the techniques, and our students were ready to Zoom online. And for the most part, the online teaching experiments haven't been run. And the schools that are online charters, let's just take Pennsylvania as an example, because I heard this morning, that these auxiliary charter schools that are online are basically not of high quality. That may not be because the people aren't of high quality, it just isn't being carried out well. And so when you look, your worst performing schools in our state are often the online charter schools. For the youngest kids, this is a completely untried experiment. We don't even know if kids will sit in front of a Zoom and absorb anything, because the biggest predictor of what goes on in a very high quality school is the relationships between the teachers and the students. It's the way the teacher kind of manicures that class and then tunes it almost as if she is a conductor in an orchestra. So what happens when our teachers are thrust into an environment where is somewhat broken, where they haven't been trained to go online, where the data is not so secure for online anyway, where the kids are at home, okay, where it's crowded. And at the same time that you might be online, your brother and sister might be online. Well, how's that going to happen? And your parents have a Zoom call for business. Okay, that's stressful. And then let's talk about the fact that parents are working. And if parents are working, oh my gosh, they're trying to get everything done in a climate of fear when it's not clear what the future is going to be. Now, in a normal world, if you just stopped school, and what are we going on, 2 months already? This has been the equivalent of summer break. And we're headed into more of this. And then summer break. We're calling it COVID slump. Take summer slump, summer slide, put it to the extreme, and you would have COVID slump. And I think that's really what we're dealing with.
What do parents do? Is it important for them to continue to try to keep up if it's still running in their districts?
My sense is that it's very difficult to do, and that parents are feeling the stress and the burden. And I think we have to take the stress off the parents. So here's my take, which may be very unpopular with school supervisors, because I believe in school so much, but I also believe in parenting. And I believe that there are silver linings to having time at home that we can make special moments out of, whether it's cooking with our children, or whether it's reading and acting out plays, or whether you're as crazy as I am and you built obstacle courses for the kids and